Hello all, thank you for stopping by. This is a prediction of the future drug development or my personal hope in the era of blockchain and Web3, which democratize the society through decentralization. It might be fun for those who are passionate to make the society more efficient and decentralized. Let us go through the basics first. Let's see who is funding at each phase of research, preclinical and clinical trial. On top, these are the phases in blue. Green boxes show the funding sources. Big Pharma is predominant at all the phases. Venture capital funds earlier phases and research, and private equity, that is usually a group of venture capitals, fund and manage later phases, as well as a big pharma. Drug discovery are funded by various sources. If you are an ordinary investor and not a billionaire, regular way to invest to a drug development is to invest to a listed big pharma through a stock exchange, and that is the only choice. A big pharma runs hundreds of clinical trials, and even small biotech runs tens of clinical trials. What you invest for is all clinical trials, which mostly fail. And a pharma spends for marketing, sales, legal fees, and all the other. If you are an individual investor and make strategic decisions based on macroeconomy, fundamentals, technical, sector, sentiment analysis, or a combination of these, you might be fine with the traditional stock exchanges such as New York Stock Exchange and Nasdaq. But have you ever got, like myself, if you could invest in individual trial or an individual asset instead of investing in a company running whole bunch of trials, including the ones that you do not see any potential? The success rate of clinical trials is very low, thus risky to invest only one trial, but don't you want to control asset allocation yourself? Nowadays, due to piled up failures by big pharmas, there are, and investments have shrunk. Every person has different life reason and reason to invest. For example, if you have a family member suffers from a certain disorder, or yourself is a patient and study hard of the disease biology, and found a new trial that the drug targets the physiological system you have been interested, and you believe promising. I have seen many patients with extremely high level of knowledge. If you are a biologist and familiar with the cause of a certain disease, got that all current trials are targeting secondary products, but not the root mechanism, that are indeed all failing. Found a trial that targets the molecule related to the cause of disease generation. It is very nice if there is an easy access to invest to each trial. Also, crowdfund to a rare disease trial where big pharmas are reluctant to invest as they see the market size is limited. They are for profit. In the era of blockchain and Web3, we can invest in a single trial instead of whole pharma. There are various phases in a drug development, and we can invest as the development advances and the value of an asset increases as the potential of success increases. At the research or discovery level, even just a concept with research data can be posted with or without a compound in an auction. An institute with chemical library screening post a bid with a protocol and budget. If the funds from investors fulfill the budget, the research is started and unique coins are given to investors in accordance with its share. In the similar manner, it advances to a clinical trial up to phase 3. If the trial advances with success, the value of coins increase, especially at the end of phase 3 when the market authorization is given. In the meantime, the unique coins are traded. Phase 4 is a collection of real-world data after the market authorization is given, which will be operated in a very different way than phase 3. Real-world data collection method is discussed in the subsequent video. In this way, the organization leading a trial can be taken over at the start of the following phase. The patent or license are associated with the ratio of shareholdings. Thus, the share of the organization running a trial tends to be more than 50%, otherwise all the decisions to be made through votes. The leading organization will likely continue holding after the patent application, which is usually done during phase 2. The data will be curated and analyzed as AI will be advanced where no subjective intention can influence while appropriate method is applied for data cleaning, and the most appropriate statistical method applied. Regulatory evaluation will eventually be incorporated as international standards will advance further. Even if a pharma's share is not 100% at the end of Phase 3, which means there are multiple license holders, the profit from sales can be shared in accordance with the share by the traceability of blockchain. You may wonder how investors evaluate a proposal. Let us see the components that investors can evaluate by going through the dashboard. In the top of the first column, it starts with a graphical abstract. Then you can go into detailed concept in the bottom of the first column, which explains the background of the concept with all the data referenced just like a scientific journal. In the second column, if you found some section in the detailed concept need to be elaborated for you, you can leave a comment and the founder of the concept will answer. If significant, the founder of the concept will update it in the next version. All the investors and the public function as reviewers. In the top of the third column, either a research institute, a biotech, or a pharma, according to the phase, bid with their protocol and the budget. The founder of the concept and any investors bid their investment. You want to see how much the founder of the concept bid as well to see his or her confidence level, while it all depends on the ratio to his or her entire asset. It also shows if the summation of bids reached a proposed budget just as a crowdfunding. In the fourth column, the investors check each protocol posted by a pharma. And if you find a part to be improved, you post a comment. The pharma will answer and if necessary, revise the protocol. Then a pharma, a biotech or a research institute is chosen through votes from investors, not necessarily the lowest budget but the quality of protocol and operational decency. The budget of a trial is funded by bidders, in other words, investors, as a crowdfunding. Unlike a traditional crowdfunding, which is centralized, smart contract embedded in crypto chain allows this process decentralized. Smart contract is set to go to the next process when the conditions met, such as voting completion for choosing the leading pharma, the goal of the fund met, all the details of protocol reviewed and approved by investors, clearance of regulatory requirements, and so on. Let us touch upon the advantages of recording the data on blockchain directly or indirectly. Integrating data directly to the blockchain is much anticipated, while it requires technological advancement and overcoming gas fees. With the current technology, the clinical trial data can be added as a block of the NFT of the medical record of a participant, which is advantageous for its transparency, immutability, and traceability. Both transparency and security can be achieved by digitally controlling appropriate access for group of audience at each stage. The NFT of a participant's all the medical record consists of blocks. The pharma won the auction and running a trial can access the data of the clinical trial as well as basic health information and treatment record. Access to the past treatment history must be given to an organization runs a trial from safety perspective. For example, the fatal risk of side effects of an immunomodulator is increased by the history of immunosuppressant exposure. Quality of a clinical trial data differs by missing data points. If a participant skips a visit, the data as a series in a timeline decreases the value, as it has always been a discussion for the method to deal with missing data points, not drop the entire data series by one missing data point. Thus, incentivizing participant is quite important. Every visit, a participant obtains token in accordance with the data added. Additional way to incentivize participants is to use coin for the clinical trial so that participants become shareholders. This can indirectly contribute to greater data quality. While this may undergo much arguments from conflict of interest perspective, although no participant knows if he or she is on drug or placebo. Also, storing data as an NFT consists of blocks. The unique NFT of the participant increases its value as the data enriched, which will be discussed in the next video since it is more meaningful in real-world data collection. We went through how drug development process will look like in coming future with blockchain and Web3 available. Any difficulties we may face is regulation. Regulation for drug development is not a huge concern as the most of the trials are conducted as global clinical trials. Details of regulations, especially for ownership, needs to be checked. The entity runs the platform of this crowdfunding must follow the law by working with the SEC of the country located as well as other countries. Another concern is that there have always been a population with innovation phobia. Somehow they believe analog data is more secure than digital data. Such public sentiment will go away as the time goes by, just like internet, which is now indispensable. What left in your mind is how the running cost of this crowd investing platform is covered. Just like an EC website, or like a Kickstarter. No, you will see how in the subsequent video regarding drug epidemiology, which is much more interesting idea, and that can decentralize the whole process. This is all for this video. This is a first rough idea. If you find a point to be improved with a greater idea, please send me a message. I would appreciate more if it is with a graphical explanation. I will incorporate them in the updated version.